Hi, how y'all doing? It is Thursday, May 1st. About 1:20 in the afternoon as of recording this video. I wanted to talk about with this video, things I'm planning on doing with my channel. A couple videos back, I remember one of my commenters asked why I don't have more subscribers, and the short answer was because I'm boring. And a lot of you, came off and said came back and said I'm not boring, and I appreciate that, but I really am. My 100 and close to 120 videos on here now, 114, 116, something like that. I haven't looked at that, and almost all of them are pretty much the same. Just some random nobody on the internet ranting and complaining about how shitty his life is, and that's what they all are. Granted, that's the purpose of my channel, is to get my problems out there, to gather support for GoFundMe. That is and always has been, and for the foreseeable future will be, the number one purpose of my channel, to gather support for GoFundMe. But back when I started the channel, I had envisioned, doing different things with my channel to help draw more viewers, more subscribers, more potential donations for GoFundMe. Instead of just, being a lump in my wheelchair or in my rocking chair, or, sitting out in the truck. Occasionally in my office, TV room, den, whatever you want to call it. Office probably suits it the best, because it just doesn't seem big enough to be what I would call a den. And the desk and all that is in there. But all I do pretty much every video is talk about, like I said, how shitty life is, my bad health. These past months, fearing losing the house and whatnot, and it goes without saying, financial troubles. Not that I'm being, irresponsible or anything like that. I just can't absorb, the cost of my house, and the cost of medical co-pays, along with, utilities and groceries and gas. The housing market is such that I can't afford to relocate. I definitely would not be able to get another place here in St. Augustine for cheaper than what I'm paying now. I think maybe the only way I could do it is if I moved into an absolute shithole in, a really bad neighborhood. We don't have a lot of that here in St. Augustine, but, every town does, and I'm sure there's something, rat and roach infested. Some broken down mobile home with plywood patches in the floor that aren't even secured, just laid over holes. Maybe I could get something like that cheaper than what I'm paying right now, but that'd be about the only thing here in St. Augustine. And so many people are moving here that, there's just nothing. there's nothing available. Doing something like a Section 8 apartment, one of those places that are based on your income, would not work because all of those places have a multi-year waiting list. One place here in St. Augustine that I found that does that sort of thing has like a 5 to 6 year waiting list, and that's not going to help me. The only other option would be to, go like deep into the interior of the state to one of the many small, kind of forgotten towns that are more just like glorified neighborhoods than they are towns. One red light, post office, convenience store, and that's about it. That would be the only way I could find something cheaper and not have to settle for, a roach-infested shithole. Even then, because, I'm a realist, I still do look. There is a very small town on State Road 17, which is runs more through the interior eastern side of the state, about 20 miles from here, and it runs up and down the state. There's a little town on that's the main drag that my closest to my parents. They live off 17. They live about half a mile off of it. And there's a little town 10 miles give or take further south of them called Pomona Park. And there's an old, not ratty, but not perfect mobile home on a really small piece of land down there, and there's nothing down there. They do have a hardware store, and they used to have a small coil winding factory down there called J4. I don't know if it's still there or not. But there's not really anything else there. Convenience store, biker bar, and there's this old single wide mobile home down there, and that's $1,500 a month, and it doesn't include utilities. So I wouldn't be doing any better, and I would be nowhere near any of my doctors. And there wouldn't even be a possibility of finding, doctors in the area because there's nothing. I would have to, travel. I would have to travel 20 plus miles to Palatka, which is the next closest, bigger town, to find doctors. And my folks, their doctors are in Palatka because it's the closest bigger town to them. And most of the doctors in Palatka don't take my dad's insurance. He had to come out here for an eye doctor. And Palatka also does not have the quality of doctors that I do here. And unfortunately, my health is such that I need to be seeing several doctors on a constant basis. So I wouldn't be saving any money doing that. So I'm pretty well, stuck here until I just can't be here anymore. Until they take the house. Once they take the house, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'll be most likely living in the back of a pickup truck and still trying to see my doctors here until such a point if my ex-wife can manage to win full custody from me, and the right to move back down to St. Pete, where she's from, which I know is what she wants to do. And with me living out of the back of a pickup truck, they may say, well, she's definitely the better, parent for him to live with now because you live in a pickup truck. So we're gonna, let her do what she needs to do, for, do what's best for her and what's best for Joey, which is what you should be thinking about too. So, put your home in drive and follow her, which, if that's what was to happen, that's what I would do. There would be no chance of getting a place, down in Pinellas County. It's way more expensive to live there than it is to live here. So I would still just be living out of the back of a pickup truck and probably only get to see my son for an afternoon on the weekends. And I guess I would do that until, the inevitable came. But that's what I would do. That's what I will do if that were to happen. I'm not there yet, but, always best to plan ahead. Anyway, as far as my channel, I wanted to have some versatility. I wanted to have some variety. I wanted to do stuff that was more interesting, that would draw in more viewers, more subscribers, more donations. And I don't get that, just sitting here talking about my problems. I can imagine I've got a few viewers that watch my channel just to feel better about themselves. Not in a mean way, but, like, damn, my life sucks, but at least it's not that bad. And I'm not trying to say that my life is, worse than anybody else's. I know there's plenty of people out there that have it worse than I do. But my life is no picnic. I definitely do not have it good. The only two good things about my life is I have my son, which I'm going to have to fight more for. I'm going to consistently have to fight for that, over the next 10 years till he turns 18. And I have my house, which I'm having to fight for now and probably going to lose. So, my life is not good. My health is all shot to hell. My body is shot, I've got physical problems and medical problems from my nose to my toes. From my eyes to my toes. And, and I don't even have all my toes anymore. So I have all that, potentially cancer coming back, fighting to keep my house, in a constant battle with my ex-wife, over my son, and have all that at the same time. One of the problems that I have would be bad enough, but I don't have one. I've got a baker's dozen. I've got more than that, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not good. I know there's people out there that have it worse than I do, but I don't have it good. So I wanted to do things like, old car talk, showing off my junk, mechanics tutorials. I was going to do, like a series, kind of like a locals guide kind of deal where I would go around to different places here in St. Augustine and, the surrounding areas, Daytona, Palatka, and whatnot. Places with which I'm familiar, and, do videos on different locations, sites, and whatnot. Some kind of well known, some not so well known, and I thought that would be interesting, telling stories, historical, anecdotes and whatnot, telling ghost stories, which I did do one back in my Bayview days, and that's kind of like, the main crux of this video, because that's something I'm going to start doing again, because it doesn't require me to be able to see or function out in the world, which unfortunately is still kind of a long way away for me to do either of those things. I have always had a passionate interest in the paranormal and all things associated with it ever since I was a small child. The two biggest influences on my early life was my cousin Robert. He's the one that turned me on to classic cars and whatnot. And then my grandmother, on my dad's side, she was my nana. My mom is Joey's nana. This was my nana. And I developed a lot of how I look at and perceive the world from her. And she was certainly special. I would say that a good way to describe her is she was a bit of a mystic. And I took a lot of that, from her. She had a way of making, more profound topics and subjects kid-friendly and explaining things to me, and I learned things and I saw things that, most children and indeed most people don't get to experience, I think. And the paranormal, and in all of its forms and aspects, was of a great interest to her, and became one of mine. I have had a wealth of experiences with those types of things since I was a child. So I have a wealth of personal experience that I can talk about, family experiences. St. Augustine is regarded as one of the most haunted cities in the country, so there is a wealth of stories, historical events tied to the paranormal associated with St. Augustine, and there is a lot of well-known stories. There's a lot of not so well-known stories that I could share, and not just St. Augustine, but the surrounding area as well. And not just ghost stories, but all manner of strange and mysterious things. And like I said, I'm passionately interested in that subject, and so it's something that I can speak on for a long time, with a wealth of information that I can share, and it would give me something different to talk about other than just woe is me, doom and gloom, and could potentially help bring more subscribers, viewers to my channel, and potentially more donations to my GoFundMe. Now, with all that said, I realize that the paranormal and all of its associated subjects are not everyone's cup of tea. I understand that there are quite a lot of people that just don't believe in it, think it's, bull honky. I have been told many times that I'm either lying or I'm too stupid to understand what's really going on in front of me, or I'm so gullible that I have convinced myself that the experiences that I've had were legitimate and not, something mundane. And to that, I reply with a quote from the great Clint Eastwood: "Opinions are like assholes, and everybody's got one." That's actually one of my favorites, and I've used it on this channel before. And it's not to be mean, it's just to say that, that's your belief and your perception, and you're welcome to it. It's not mine. Mine is different, and I'm welcome to mine. I've had a lot of shared experiences with other people that have experienced the same thing that I have, so, I know it wasn't, in my head. And there are people that will make the argument of mass hysteria. I think that is over skepticization. Skepticization, is that a word? Over skepticizing, I think that's bull honky. But regardless, whatever your reason for not being interested in the subject is entirely up to you. And I just wanted to, put it out there that if I'm, speaking on something that you're not interested in, please don't think that you need to, keep the video going, watch it, listen to it, just to give me the views. I appreciate the views, but I don't want you to, sit through something that you don't want to. Especially when I do a video like that, when I start the video, I'm going to say, okay, this is what we're doing tonight. And that way, you can check out right at the beginning and not have to go 5 or 10 minutes into the video before you decide, now I feel like listening to this crap. And that's perfectly fine. But, it also goes back to, it's my channel. I do what I want. So, I'm going to start doing that. I might do one this weekend since I won't have Joey with me. Back during the holidays, when I was running my fireplace a lot, keep warm, I had an idea to do a series on my channel. Something like stories of the mysterious and the paranormal by the firelight, or something like that, in which I would, tell a ghost story or other strange paranormal type story in the realm of, cryptozoology, or even briefly touching on the subject of aliens and UFOs. I'm fascinated by all that stuff. I've never seen one of those, but my younger sister claims to have seen one. So, got a lot of stuff I can talk about in that regard. It interests me. I know a lot about it, so I kind of like an armchair authority on it, that I can talk about it and not, sound like a dumbass that's, just reaching for something. It's something that interests me deeply, so I have the ability to talk about it. But like I said, if that does not interest you, please feel free to not watch. If it does interest you, I hope that I can perhaps share some stories and information with you that maybe you didn't know beforehand, and entertain you a little bit beyond woe is me, doom and gloom. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to jump off here. I got Joey coming tonight. I'll have him tonight and tomorrow, but after his soccer game tomorrow, he's going down to his camping trip for the weekend, so I won't have him this weekend. I am going to try to go down there Saturday if my folks are up to it. Spend some time with him on Saturday. But other than that, that's all I've got. So I hope you all have a great day today, great evening. I'm going to be really busy tomorrow. I'll try to go visit my folks at Bayview. Not my folks, but, my friends at Bayview tomorrow. So probably won't get anything out tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow night, we'll see. Till then, my GoFundMe is in the description if you all care to help out. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.